NoSo Connection. Welcome to episode 2 of Ryan Gray's Draft Day. We are here going through another draft activity. First one was a lot of fun. And tonight we have a couple of guests along with myself, host Ryan, talking New World Order. Ryan, what's that entail?
For life, Justin. It is. We are building your own NWO. Who is eligible? If they were in the NWO, they are eligible, but they are only eligible within the NWO, using Booker T example. So you're picking Booker T 2002 WWE in the 6 or 7 weeks he's in the NWO. So that you're not getting Booker T in Harlem Heat. You're not getting Booker T wherever. So it's only with them within the NWO. So pretty much that's the premise. The goal is to build the best NWO roster between us. And let's get going. Justin, any other question, guys, before we get the order, as we get the order going here?
No, I'll just reiterate. This is simulcast on YouTube and audio. So any podcast app on a Podbean to search NoSo Connection. If you want to watch along, is good because you'll have the draft board filled in as you go along. So you can kind of help keep track. We will run it down at the end as well for voting. Twitter poll, and there'll probably be a link where you can maybe do a Google. We haven't quite figured it out yet, but there'll be ways to vote, and then we'll reveal winners of each one. So, be a little competition between the four of us here. Ryan's going to randomize the draft order, snake format. See where we're at.
Right. Here we go. Rossi, Chad, Justin, and myself is the draft order. I think 4th is the worst.
Yeah, you got boned.
For this one, yeah. Sometimes it's good, but this one's rough.
Yeah. I felt like I got boned in the last week's draft getting the first pick, but I got very boned this one. All right, so I'm last.
You can still get NWO Sting.
Yeah. All right, Rossi, you are on the clock, my friend.
Yeah, so not a lot of mystery here. We're going to go to the guy that really turned the NWO into the NWO, and that would be Hollywood Hulk Hogan, number 1 overall.
There you go.
All right, yeah. Pick is for life, brother. Chad, I think you were in the prime spot for the draft, in my personal opinion.
I don't know. I went back and forth just looking at the roster. I'm gonna pick Kevin Nash though. Yeah. I think just in what we've watched, he's been a highlight of the stuff me and Justin has watched. Obviously, when you get to the NWO Wolfpack, he's the leader of that group, and then ends up ending Goldberg's streak and whatever. So I think over the overall trajectory of the NWO, he's the second most important person in it.
I think he's like the overall coolest too, in a way, for like star power wrestler, cool factor. I think Nash is the pick.
Yeah, and he's kind of the like low key leader. Like Hogan's in name leader, but when you watch like week to week, Chad, like you mentioned on Wrestle Warzone that we're doing, Nash is really the guy driving the boat. Like at a lot of these things, he's the one that's there every week. He's the one that's really laying down the law. When Hogan's not there, he's the one that takes center stage. He's kind of like the godfather of the NWO for most of the run. And even when the Wolfpack splits, he like runs that show. So right. Yeah. And he's also kind of the longest lasting guy, right? Because Hogan's so in and out. And when things are kind of teetering at the end, I feel like the Wolfpack's still kind of going. So
he's the most consistent guy.
Ends Goldberg's streak. Yeah. I would say he's the guy that's associated the longest consecutive stretches of the NWO as Nash. Good pick is what I'm saying. I'm torn between two guys, honestly, but I think it's just going to go Hall. I mean, I don't see how you don't here. Yeah. He's the guy that started it all, kind of the workhorse of the early days of the NWO. And, I like his stuff in 97 where he's, kind of teaming with the Outsiders. He's also kind of teaming with Savage. Then he gets into the Zbyszko stuff, which is really fun. The tail end of Hall's a little rough, but he's the straw that stirs the drink through a lot of it. A lot of the stuff during the Randy Anderson shit's really funny, really good with the one-liners. So to me, he's got to be the first 3. I mean, like you said, Ryan, you kind of get the worst spot because you weren't going to get the 3 big dogs.
That's for sure. I did definitely get the worst pick, but I guess there's no real wow, who are you picking here, really? So I'm going to go with maybe the most impactful guy left on this list. Definitely the peak of his entertainment-wise. I'm going to go Eric Bischoff. Mm-hmm. I think it's the right pick at this point right here.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I get power bombed off the stage too at the Great American Bash too. So that's a pretty impactful moment as well. But I just think, challenging Vince, the motorcycle, he comes across like super cool in the NWO for who he is really as a Minnesota model or whatever. But I'm going to go Easy E here in the first round. In the second round, it's between two guys, but I'm going to go with a little more longevity with this pick. I'm going to go with the Macho Man Randy Savage.
That was my next one.
And I get the Diamond Dallas page out of this. I probably get the tail end of the work frame but he probably has the most impactful matches kind of left on this list, so to speak. And I get the big important DDP feud. So I'm going to go with Bischoff and Macho to make up for the turn here in the 4th and 5th pick.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I mean, honestly, that's who I was debating with Hall was Savage because he is so good in that 97 into 98.
And I just felt that Bischoff deserved to go over him because I think of him more of the NWO than Macho. But
Savage, you get the DDP feud, and then you get the early stuff with the split dual pack. But him and Hogan, when they fight for the world title, like in early '98, it's pretty good. But that's kind of it though for him. Like he really only has like a year in the NWO, but it's high level. I mean, it's very high level stuff. So. Now we're at the cliff for sure here. So there's a couple. One I just feel like his best stuff is not in the NWO. All right, I'm not as big a fan as like a later era NWO, but I think I'm just gonna pick the guy that I think carries the back end of the run and really turns into a star, Scott Steiner. He's a big name toward the end. I think that's what elevates him. Gets out, turns on Rick. He's immediately into the NWO. Has a great year. He's in all those stupid iterations in the end, the 2000 and all the Elite and all that shit too. So, but he's really the top heel toward the end. So, I feel like it's decent value. I got the Steiners in the last draft. I think the 3rd round. So I get Scott here in the 2nd round. But
yeah, I think I'm gonna pick an interesting name. Certainly someone that's quality over quantity, but if I think of NWO members, I think he certainly added a lot of coolness to the collective group, and I'm going Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I actually considered him as 4 or 5 too.
Me too. I was just debating him and Steiner right now. He's a big piece of it. Brings the mainstream vibe. Has like 2 really big matches plus the 3rd with Savage, but the 2 Bash at the Beach matches were big money, big feuds at the time. Especially with him being in the NBA Finals, like himself, like it's crazy when you think about it. But I agree, he's just as big as like anyone on this list as an NWO guy.
Definitely at a crossroads here, but I get 2 picks, so I'm going to be happy to pick both of them. I'm going to go with a guy who, again, the longevity may not have been there, but he was definitely an impactful force in the early stages of the NWO, and that would be the Giant himself. He went after Hogan, so it's interesting that he is with Hogan on my list, but we're still going to roll with him. Then coming back, I'm going to go with a guy who was always the powerhouse. He was the guy that cleared the ring when the NWO needed it and they were getting their ass kicked, and that would be Scott Norton.
I was hoping you were going to say Vincent. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Yeah, we're in the deep water now.
There's a few. I still think there's a few.
Kyle Petty's technically in the NWO, Chad. So if you want to go that route, you want to pick with celebrities.
We actually talked about that before you joined, don't you? With his so he's been.
Hey, get the celebrity quarter fucking panned out right here.
Yeah. I guess I'm gonna go Buff Bagwell.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's around mid-Carter, but
he's memorable.
Roster, I don't think he would have had a career if he wouldn't have joined the NWO. I mean, like you think about like Scotty Riggs and his trajectory, and so.
Well, he's got 2 big like great teams too with Vicious and Delicious. That's in there, right? That's when he's in the NWO, and him and Steiner is like really good stuff too. You get the fake neck thing and everything. I guess the downside is you get the Judy Bagwell on a pole stuff, but
hey.
Memorable. No, I was saying it's memorable 30 years later or whatever, so it's fine. But as good a pick as any when you're looking at what's left here. All right, I'm gonna trend again, not newer-ish, but like the new class, second generation. I'm gonna go Kurt Hennig. I think he's in one of the most memorable NWO related angles where he turns on Flair, slams the cage on his head. That triggers the parody, which of course is an all timer. He does the headache plex of the Giant, which is like a really cool Nitro moment as well in there. Him and Rude are a fun package in '98. Kind of the old school Bobby Heenan guys. So I think I get a pretty good value with Headache at this point when you start to look at what's left here. So, and he brings the work too, you know.
Yep. All right, I am going Arriba Lasso overlay. I am going Conan, K-Dog all day, every day. I think it's kind of a steal here. But I think he's a very popular NWO member. I think some of his stuff has from an aura, a cool swag. Original. When I think Wolfpack, I think K-Dog, right? So
yeah. I usually think like Nash, K-Dog is like kind of the first two that pop in my head when I think Wolfpack.
So all day, every day, and I'm taking him with Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash's binky. I'm taking him, and speaking of Kevin Nash's other binky, I am taking 6/X-Pac, and I'm pretty happy with my turn with those two picks.
6 is a good one. I think it's Chad and I realizing he's just not there as much as you think he is. Yeah. He's hurt so much, but the stuff he does is great. Like
I get the X-Pac run too, brother.
That's true. I don't know if that's a plus or minus, but you do get his work leading up to Slamboree is great. Like with the Flair, Piper, Kevin Green stuff, where he really goes in on Flair and like the veterans for acting like the NWO is disrespectful, but they're like, "Fuck you, you guys stripped the shit down, and we had to rebuild it ourselves. You left us empty, the new generation. Like, why should I respect you?" And there's a great moment. He calls Flair. He's like, "Flair, you say you have no respect, but you ripped off Buddy Rogers' name, his gimmick, and his figure 4. Like, it's awesome. Like,
balls, really, for sure.
Yeah, and then him and Flair have a really fun, and then he mimics Flair in the parody. So he's got some really good stuff. He's just not there as much as you'd like him to be, but he has like a lot of fun moments and memories. So
starting the second half of the draft, he's a really good pick. And you could think that he swayed the cool factor too. 96, 97, and the NWO is cool, and then over to DX in 98. So
he felt like more of that like WWF invading WCW too when he became the 6th member.
Yep.
I like Ryan talking about how great value all his picks are. Like he's don't hate them. Oh,
it's amazing value.
What great value here.
Great value here. All right, K-Day 6.
All right.
Love it.
All right. This we are now really like off the rails here as far as who's left. You don't think NWO this guy, but he's so tied to the NWO, and his short run in the NWO does have like some big moments. Big part of the Wolfpack. I'm just going to take Sting. I mean, you whatever. His legacy is tied to the NWO, even though he's not in it for a lot of the time. But even his Wolfpack stuff is cool with the orange paint and all that stuff. So red paint, what the fuck. But
yeah, I'm following that. Kind of just getting a big name with Luger again. Like he joining Wolfpack was pretty cool. Maybe like the less cool thing he does as a wrestler, and then he's hanging around on January 4th. But it's definitely the twilight. But at least you get some name value.
That's the two big names left, I think, that are out there. And they actually do contribute. It's not like they're only in it for a couple. I mean, they do stuff as part of the Wolfpack for sure in '98. So
yeah, we'll have to see how much of a collective the Wolfpack is if we make it. I mean, we got a ways to go, but I mean, because I have been independently falling asleep to some of that stuff watching, and like Savage being the catalyst at Spring Stampede, saying he's going to go after Hogan, and then starting that at Spring Stampede '98. It's an interesting dynamic, and then you get Anning and Luger and K-Dog and Sting in the fall. It's like, how far does that group stay together and feel together before it kind of disintegrates?
All right. Well, I got 2 here. I know one I'm taking. I have no clue who the second one will be, but we'll figure it out. I'm going to take the guy who held it down in Japan and kind of helped the longevity of his U.S. fandom with the Great Muta.
Yeah.
I thought that his white face paint when he was in the NWO was just cool as shit when he had like the NWO painted in. So I'm going to roll with him. Then after that, I'm on the fence. There's a couple of people that I want here, but I'm just going to go with NWO Sting. Somebody that felt like was in the group a long time. He was part of a lot of storylines there. And obviously he had, tricking Luger into thinking Sting turned on him was like a pivotal angle at one point in the NWO. So let's go with NWO Sting.
You get him at spring break too in 2019. So Jeff Farmer, there you go.
All right.
Well, I will say this too, NWO Sting. He is part of the one of the biggest angles in the NWO in the early days with the real Sting in the rain and all that and Fall Brawl. Like he does have some memorable stuff that and like you said, he hangs around forever. But those early month or so that he's around, like that's some big stuff.
Yeah. It's funny when he comes out now where we're at, where it's like, oh, NWO Sting is still here because he's definitely by spring of '97. He's just a also person.
That was a great worker too. He just didn't really get a chance to do it in WCW.
Farmer.
Yeah, at times.
I am going to go, I think, with somebody else that's prominent in '96 when they're starting again, rewatching. It's pretty fresh on the mind. It's interesting how he's been positioned as like the benefactor of the whole group. So I'll go with Trillionaire Ted. I think coming after his putrid WWF managerial run, he has a little spark here. It's been interesting seeing how he's been so tied to Hogan, and they kind of do that nostalgia where it's Hogan, Vincent, Bischoff, and Ted that are kind of their own little grouping, and then the Outsiders and Six, the Clique is on their own Wolfpack. But yeah, I mean, a short run, we're at the end of it right now with what we're watching, but he has some moments, so I guess I'll go with him here.
Yeah, he's been one of the more disappointing things about the NWO as we've been watching. Like, Larry's obsessed with him being like the leader. He always calls him the leader of the NWO in the early days. It seems like a big deal when he shows up. He's in the crowd, holding up the fingers and all that. Like, and it just fades quick. I think they felt they needed a talker to go with like Hogan, and then they kind of realized, well, Hogan's like better without him. But then they added Bischoff, and Bischoff made DiBiase redundant really quick. It was like, okay, like how many non-wrestling mouthpieces do we need in this group? Now we have DiBiase and Bischoff. They do the commentary sold out. It's like, okay, but I don't know. It eliminated his role pretty quick when they turned Bischoff. All right. I'm just going to complete the package I started earlier. So I took Hennig. I'm going to take Rude. He's in the NWO for a while. He jumps. It's a big deal. He jumps right after Montreal. And he's with Hennig like all in '98 pretty much as a package deal. And they get the fun moment where sometimes he acts like people put their hands on him and he loses his fucking mind and kicks the shit out of them because he doesn't want to risk his insurance policy. But him and Hennig are a fun asshole team during that stretch. So I'll just take Rude here.
When you pick Bischoff first, you're not really getting that work rate. So I kind of made up for it with Six and Macho. So I'm not going to care about it anymore. And I am going to go with the Disciple. I love the look.
Great beard.
Great beard. Like I got to pick him over Bubba. I got to pick him over Wall Street. I can't pick Brett or Jarrett. Like, stop. At least the Disciple is memorable. I want to go memorable, and
you got to take Vincent next. Then, if you're going memorable NWO guys that are there forever,
yeah, it's that or Elizabeth. So
I would take Liz with Savage. I mean, not to help you out here, but I mean, to me, it's natural. I was going to take her before, but I think without Savage, she's not as integral as a piece.
The typical misogynistic I am, I could never pick her before a man, but I will pick her with my last pick. And Miss Elizabeth over Vincent, because I don't have Ted. If I had Ted, I would go Vincent. But I'm going to go Miss Elizabeth over with my last pick. In her mini black skirt.
Yes.
Yeah, your matches from your NWO roster is something to behold here.
That'll be rough.
When K-Dog is your workhorse,
I got the Macho feud and I got the Eddie Guerrero and X-Pac match. That's all I got. The Macho DDP. That's all I got.
Got it.
But I'm
All
going.
right.
My guys are cool and memorable. That's what I'm going with.
All right.
Disciple cool. You heard it here first.
Disciple is cool, buddy.
Okay.
That's weird though, bro. Come on. I almost went Chono, but
That's where I'm headed right now. I mean, there's really not much left. So I'm gonna. He's an original. He's like an NWO OG, and he joins in '96 when he rips off the shirt and Sonny Ono speak English, you idiot. Gene yells at him. And he's around till his career ends, pretty much. I think in the NWO in Japan, they'd always bring him over as a heater, like every now and then, anyway. And Masa My Hero Chono is a great Bischoff line as well. So I'll go Chono.
Yeah, it just gets a little muddled with him when the Japan stuff comes into play because it's the team T2000 versus NWO Japan. They didn't really. There's some continuity they lose, but
he looks like a badass.
When you're at the dregs here at the end,
he's got an awesome. It's actually the T2000 theme, but one of the best theme songs in history, and that kind of evolved. That was almost like the Wolfpack answer at New Japan to the original NWO feud. Oh man, God, I don't know.
Disco?
I actually think there's no fuck Disco. I think there's actually one that would be like decent little pick.
Fruit Booty. Yeah, I almost thought of that one. I almost did it, but
who?
Fruit Booty.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who.
Him and Mongo have like the worst matches in history when he's Steve Ray's in the NWO. Brutal.
Let me think. I TBIC. I don't want to. I mean, Nick Patrick, I actually think is kind of fun for what
that's what I was thinking. That's like a pretty cool pick at the end here because he's really good in that role. Like he's
let me just think because I mean my in-ring roster ain't looking too hot either.
Yeah, you're over here shitting on mine. But
well, I mean, we could pretend Ted DiBiase could.
I got the work rate.
Turn back the clock. I mean, Spicoli's a fun goon, but he's pretty brief. I think I'm going to go with Nick Patrick.
I think it's good value.
Yeah, you get the fast count. You know.
Yeah, you get a lot. I mean, he's the
neck brace.
Another OG. He's got some really fun stuff in there, and all the stuff with Randy Anderson. Like you and I really liked that. That was good, and he got good promos and stuff. So yeah, I think it's as good as value as and better than the fucking Disciple. I can tell you that.
Nah, I stand by it. I stand by the Disciple. He's more memorable.
I'm going to close this out with a guy that, I'm definitely adding for name value at the end here. But he did his damnedest in the later days to try to keep the NWO afloat. And that's going to be Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
Close it out.
Double F.
Typical Jarrett, right at the end.
He's a good Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah. He's got to be involved.
There's just I keep debating him, and it's just man, he's got obviously a lot of quantity, but that quality is
the worst part is that him and the stupid Harris brothers. That's the worst part.
Yeah, they're so prominent.
The one name that I was thinking of too was Brian Adams.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got some name value, and like him jumping after Montreal is good. Some of his matches are so bad in the NWO.
Yeah,
you get Disciple vibes to him, but Disciple has to be your
Stevie Ray. I'd say is in that Brian Adams vein, where like in the lame stages, he's kind of around a lot, and then pretty big position per se on like the NWO Hollywood side, but in-ring so bad.
All right, so here's who's on the official list that we didn't take. So Kyle Petty,
which I think he only had that one appearance.
Yeah, I don't think he did. But they have him this little sheet. Oh, he's an associate, but they have him in there for a while.
Is that as long as his race car lasted? Probably.
Yeah, I mean they may have. Probably. I mean it was only the paint job on one race too, so they may have brought it out like one race a year or something.
Team contract or whatever.
Yeah.
Wall Street is whatever. Bubba is really short. Vincent, I think, is probably the biggest one that didn't go. I think of all the guys we have on here. Dusty is brief. Spicoli, like you said. Yeah. Horace, Disco, David Flair, Tori Wilson, Bret Hart, but that's kind of a joke. I did debate Badeja to go with Scott Steiner for a moment. She's not bad. Tylene Buck, April Hunter, Pamela Paulshaw, Ron Harris, Don Harris, and then Booker and Shawn Michaels.
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty, that's so depressing when he turns. And then all the rest of the New Japan crew, like there's a few more on there, Tenzan, etc. So Saito.
Yeah.
All right. So Rossi, do you have your list in front of you so you can run it down for the listeners, not the viewers?
Yeah. So I've got Hulk Hogan, the Giant, Scott Norton, Great Muta, the NWO Sting, and Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
Rossi might have actually the best work rate just from entering. I have Nash, Rodzilla, Buff Bagwell, Lex Luger, Ted DiBiase, and Nick Patrick.
You got some decent star power.
I really wanted to hone in on that early era, and then Luger kind of runs that, but I do, again, like with the Wolfpack, at least is some name value.
Yeah, the early era just runs out fast, like of guys worth taking. So
yeah.
All right, I got Scott Hall, Scott Steiner, Kurt Hennig, Sting, Rick Rude, and Masamahiro Chono.
And I have Eric Bischoff, the Macho Man, Conan, Six Pack, the Disciple, and Miss Elizabeth.
We know it's not winning this one. Get your votes in for sure.
It was a punt. It was a punt after as soon as I got fourth, it was a punt.
Info will be out there for you to vote. Let us know who has the best NWO roster, who built the most competitive, the best star power, best entering. However you want to vote, let us know. And of course, we'll read the results in future episodes, and we appreciate it for sure.
All right, guys, later.